Hey guys, this is Invisible Joe over here, and welcome back to another Identity V video. So earlier today, NetEase has released on Weibo about their update that they're going to add on the beta server, and there are a couple of few adjustment changes, nerfs and buffs, and I cannot wait for this update to apply and see how it goes. So here I'm gonna translate the text for you guys, and hope you guys enjoy. And okay, so the first change that we're going to get is a couple of character adjustments, and the first one is that Soul Weaver is going to get yet another nerf, and I think this is her 7th nerf in a row, but I mean she needs those nerfs because ever since she got massively buffed, she's always on the #1 spot on the Hunters list. Anyways, now let's talk about what is she gonna get nerfed. And here when she goes through her webs, she sort of gets like a speed boost, and her attack recovery time would be faster, and both of these are getting nerfed. Now, her speed boost would be like much slower, and her attack recovery would take longer when she is at 1 layers of web and 2 layers of web. And this is game changing because mainly people on Chinese server complain about her mainly because of her fast speed. And now that her speed is getting, her speed boost and her attack recovery is getting nerfed, this may finally be the nerf that knocks Soul Weaver off the #1 spot. Obviously, we'll have to wait to see when it comes out on the beta server in order for us to actually know. But I think this nerf may be game changing if this difference is so obvious. And another hunter is getting nerfed, and it's the Mad Side. Well, I'm pretty bad at Mad Side, but I think this kinda makes sense. The nerf, he only get 1 nerf, and is that when the Mad Side gets a wall, it will last for a certain amount of time, and the time that the wall would last would be decreased near rocket chairs, gates, and control panels. And I guess this makes sense because, I'm not good watching it, I'm not good using it, but recently I've watched a video of top Mad Eyes hunters in the Chinese server in the next competition, that was held by NetEase, and I saw that literally the moment the Mad Eye placed someone on a chair, they just kept spamming walls and ended up and what happened is that the rescuer did not have any chance to save the survivor because the Mad Eye blocked off the chair and making it impossible to save. So I guess this makes sense in some sort of way, and this only affects Mad Eye's camping. It doesn't really affect Mad Eye attacking us, a hunter, but just his camping skill would be nerfed. And this Mad Eye's user would definitely take a hit, but I think that this would not affect how Mad Eye is a field controller, and if played right, he can still control the entire field. Just his camping isn't as strong as before anymore, and I don't think this would affect Mad Eye too much. Well, obviously I'm not a good Mad Eye player, so I'm not really qualified to talk about this, but Victor Apple, if you're watching this, tell me what you think, because I don't play Mad Eye very much, so I can't really tell. Now on to the next character being Adjust, and she got some nerfs and some buffs, but I'll go through everything and I'll talk whether she'll get buffed or nerfed, and that's the Priestess. So the Priestess has long been a controversial character ever since when she infinite loop around areas, and now even though her portals are limited, people still find her annoying at the Moonlit River Park because, as you can see in the competition, she's literally used every time on the Moonlit River Park due to her. She can just directly go through the river, and the hunter would instantly lose chase of her. So, this update actually can address that. So let's talk about that. So now Priestess normal portals are called straight portals, while her charged portals are called long portals or super long portals, as I've translated. And let's talk about what's the difference, shall we? So her straight portals. Now, this is game changing. Survivors and hunters can pass through her straight portals. Yup, hunters can pass through her straight portals. game changing. And before I go into this, I'll continue to talk about what was the straight portal about. So when the hunter passed through the portal, that portal would be instantly destroyed, and the hunter who passed through the portal would be stunned for like amount of time. And for how long, it would depend on the length of the portal, like the distance traveled. Also, survivors would no longer have an after image when they pass through these straight portals. So now let's talk about like what do I think. And the moment I saw this, I know that this was aimed at the Moonlit River Park, because like I know that you guys know that feeling. Like for example, if you're using a hunter with a terrible chasing ability, such as the Feaster, and like when a survivor sort of like escaped, or a priestess escaped using the Moonlit River Park like through a portal, and it will instantly explode because instantly you lost chase of the survivor, and the Feaster himself doesn't really have a good chasing ability, and now you have to waste time to chase someone again, which takes way too long. And now this actually gives like the strong hunters, the hunters with a weak hunting ability a chance in these large maps, because now like the hunters can just literally go through it. I mean, yeah, they can still get stunned, but at least they won't lose track of the survivor. And I guess this is what is aimed in this update, is so that the hunters would not lose track of the survivors. And this is aimed at the Moonlit River Park, and probably at like maybe at Leo's memory, like in the factory, because there are 2 floors, so that the priestess can literally go from the second floor back to the first floor. And definitely aimed at the sacred hospital, like that one-way vault, because that one-way vault literally get abused a lot. Like before the limit of the portals even came out, I see a lot of priestess abusing that, and now they actually made it so the priestess cannot be abused at certain locations. And this is definitely a big hit to priestess, like those who like to loop around those areas. So because now priestess would no longer be that strong at the Moonlit River Park. And like before, like when I watch Call of Abyss, the priestess is pretty much only used in the Moonlit River Park due to priestess being strong when sending the teammates through portals. But now with this nerf, I'm not even sure if priestess would continue to be used. But I'm going to talk about what I finally think when I talk through everything. But this is my thoughts about this nerf. So her long portals didn't change a lot. Like the hunters cannot pass through the portals, and survivor will still leave an after image. But here's the biggest change. It can't be destroyed while it is being produced. What does this mean? Well, survivors like to, for example, if a rescuer saved a survivor and they have tide turner, so both survivors are in tide turner state, meaning they're invincible. And if at this time the survivors make a long portal with the priestess, then it's over, because there's no way possible for the hunter to destroy that long portal, meaning those 2 survivors would instantly go through the long portal and into the priestess. And even if you hit their after image, it's useless, because by the time you reach there, probably the priestess will have already healed them, unless you coincidentally have teleport. But it's still annoying, and it's still bad generally for hunters who don't have teleport or teleporting ability, because it's instantly the survivors instantly escape your sight, and there's nothing humanly possible you can do to stop it. So this again gives hunters more of a chance to counter these uncounterable situations. So yeah, another big hit by the priestess, but again, I thought that the fact that you can use tide turner to instantly escape through the long portal is pretty BS to begin with. But yeah, another big hit by priestess, though I think it makes sense because I find it annoying as a hunter player. So I've talked about the nerfs the priestess would get, and now let's talk about the buffs she'll get, shall we? As we all know, priestess is the only character that has a debuff at both decoding and vaulting, and she would get buff off those. Now her vaulting debuff and her decoding debuff would be reduced from 20% to 10% only, and she won't have a debuff when opening gates anymore. So I guess they're trying to make her like more usable as an ordinary character, because like they reduced her amount of like her portal's usefulness. So I guess they're trying to compensate that by giving back by improving her statistics. And this one is also a changing thing. Priestess no longer has a limit of portals. So the previous update where she only has 10 portals maximum would be removed. And I guess this helps the Priestess in certain hunters. For example, like against Man's Eye or like Joseph, the game tends to like drag up pretty long. So I guess they're trying to help the Priestess in these situations. But yeah, I mean, like she did get these buffs, but her nerfs are pretty big in this update. So like this is going to be everything that she's going to be changed. And if you ask me, I think she got a nerf. This is definitely a nerf. Her statistics like improved, but it doesn't matter because Priestess is chosen because her portals are way too useful. But like her portals have taken a massive hit. Like now she cannot she's no longer useful in the Moon River Park. And before that's the only map that she's used because her portals are useful at that map. But now it doesn't matter if hunters can go through them. So yeah, a big nerf by the Priestess. Like I mean, I'm happy to see it as a hunter player, but I really feel bad for those Priestess players who have been training and coordinating with their like friends, because all of a sudden this character has all of a sudden like gotten have a massive hit, and now the entire strategy surrounding has changed. Now you cannot go through like the bridge, and now you cannot use a portal in Titanner stage because the hunter can literally just destroy it. So yeah, a massive nerf. Like while I am happy as a hunter player, I feel bad for the Priestess players, and I kind of think it's maybe a little bit over nerfed because I'm not sure if anyone would continue to use the Priestess now that the hunter can literally just go through the portals. This is just way too much. So I'm really not sure if this is the best nerf, but yeah, we'll see when it comes to the official server. Okay, so now we have a map rework. I'm sorry I forgot to translate it. And the map rework is gonna happen at the Leo's memory. And the factory is going to have a structural change where one window will be changed into a door. And I think I know which window it is. So the Leo Memories factory have 4 doors, right? And 3 doors, right? And the 3 doors are all located at 3 different directions. And there's only one direction without a door. And in that direction, there's a window. So I think to make it make more sense, I think that window, that direction doesn't have a window, doesn't have a door, right? And that's where they're going to add the new door to make sense. And we also have some spawn location rework. So before, the spawn location of the survivors are fixed, but now they will spawn within 15 meters radius of that fixed location. So what hunter will be affected the most by this? Sorry about that. Joseph will be affected the most by this. Definitely Joseph. Because Joseph kinda in the beginning when Joseph uses his camera for camera world, he kind of relies on memorizing where the survivors would spawn in order to find their mirror location. But now, the spawn location is no longer fixed, and there is a variety of where the survivors will spawn, which means that the locations will be even harder for Joseph to find the location of the survivor because the spawn points have changed and it isn't that easy anymore. So I kind of feel bad for the Joseph players out there that they have memorized. It took them quite some time to memorize the spawn locations only for this to happen. And even the hunter's spawn location are modified and optimized in certain areas and certain maps. But I don't really know what this means, so I'm not going to comment on this for now. So Abnormal is getting a rework, and Abnormal, initially Abnormal, the amount of progress that's lost from a cipher would be dependent on the amount of time it was used, but now it would be dependent on the time of the game, and I think this is specifically targeted at a Dream Witch. Why? Because like correct me if I'm wrong, but I think like when a servant uses a Dream Witch, like for example, there is a servant and the Dream Witch herself, there are total 6 units the Dream Witch can use, and each unit at the beginning can reduce 60% progress. And like correct me if I'm wrong about this, but if this is true, then like a Dream Witch can literally just send her servants with her abnormals and save her own, like her main body's abnormal for last when the ciphers are primed. So this is probably targeted at a Dream Witch, so that the Dream Witch at the end would not be able to like remove 60% off. And this is what I think about the abnormal reworked. And here are some optimized hitboxes, and it's also targeted at a priestess. So it optimized the priestess portal area and hit direction, so I guess this is probably used to correct like sometimes the hunters cannot destroy the portals. And this one is also game changing and makes perfect sense. You know, like the time when a priestess like made a portal behind a shared survivor, and then the priestess would travel through the portal and appear in front of the shared survivor. And when you hit, it would count as hitting the portal instead of the priestess. Like what would happen is that literally the priestess is standing in front of the portal, but if you hit, it would count as hitting the portal, meaning the priestess is basically like cannot invincible at that area. And this actually happened in like one of my videos once, and if I can find it, I'll link it to you guys. And now it will always prioritize the priestess as being hit first, which makes perfect sense because yeah, you cannot make it's kind of BS to make invincible areas with the portals, especially when used as saving people. And while it makes sense, I really feel bad for the priestess. Priestess has taken a massive hit like in this update, and if this actually gets onto the main server, it's literally like priestess is getting a I would not be surprised if the priestess like use rate drops off pretty hard, because how priestess being used would be changed bad. Now hunters can pass through the portals and it just changes everything. So I cannot wait to see how this would be being played, and I believe they should probably like change around, because priestess hit is really way too massive in this update, and even I feel bad for the priestess as a hunter. Like I won't complain if it comes out, but I think it is just gone too far. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next video. See ya!